What have you heard about the recent real estate changes? I'm Courtney Welch with Baird & Warner Real Estate. I know there's a lot of information out there on this topic, so let's jump right in. Okay, so there's two changes that we're going to talk about today. Change number one is that buyers will now be required to sign a buyer-broker agreement with the agent that they will be working with before showings. And change number two is that buyer-broker compensation will no longer be offered in the MLS as it previously has been. Okay, so how does this affect you as a buyer? Number one, you as a buyer will determine with your agent what the buyer agency compensation will be up front, and it will no longer be determined by the seller. And number two, communication and transparency about compensation will be much higher. But please note, as a buyer's agent of over 20 years, I have always conducted buyer agency consultations with my buyers. We go over the process, the costs involved, your needs and wants, but now we will add a section where we will review the buyer agency agreement so that you know the fiduciary responsibilities we have to each other as buyer and agent, and we will determine the compensation up front together. So how will this affect you as a seller? Number one, you will now only determine the fee that you will pay your listing agent when signing a marketing agreement. And number two, while you will most likely be asked to include the buyer's broker compensation as part of the transaction, all compensation requests are negotiable. Please know, as your listing agent, I will always work to help you achieve the highest net sales price that the market will bear, and this will not change even with the new policies. I'm here to tell you that after about a month of these new policies being implemented, things are working very similarly to the old system. Buyer compensation is still being added to the transaction, and most sellers are still willing to pay the compensation through the transaction. I fully believe that these changes have only helped to strengthen the relationship between client and agent, with more transparency and improved communication. As with any change, I've been working hard to make sure all my clients are fully informed so we can handle the changes with their best interest in mind. Don't forget, you always have a choice of who to work with and what to pay when working with an agent. I recommend you work with somebody with a full range of services and a vast knowledge of the market so that you can make the best decision when it comes to one of the largest investments you may make in your life. As always, I'm always here to answer any of your questions. I hope you're having a great September. Guess what? The Bears are 1-0. Go Bears.